Yes. So, self-criticism. Well, self-criticism is a big word, and there are so many different ways how we can criticize ourselves. And I think everyone does this from time to time. So sometimes when you mess up, you just do something wrong, whether it's because you just failed to do it, or you made a mistake, or things didn't work out like you wanted to. Yeah, then self-criticism is an easy road to walk, right? And I think we do that in those times because it gives us a sense of control. A sense of control that next time we will do better. As long as we are, critical on ourselves, giving ourselves some critical feedback, telling ourselves again and again that we didn't do something right, that the next time we will improve. Next time we will not make that mistake. And maybe in some instances you might be right, but the question is that the way to go? How much are you actually helping yourself by criticizing yourself, and to make sure that things are going better next time? And I know a lot of you might say, yeah, but it's true. When I do something wrong and then I remind myself not to do it again and again, then I better myself. Then I don't make the same mistake anymore. And it might be true to a certain extent, but my question to you is then, how did you feel on the way there? Did you not make that mistake again because of that unpleasantness that you gave yourself, that you realized that, it was almost like punishing yourself so that you would not go there again? Yeah, that's a question for you. You don't have to answer me. It's just a question that you can ask for yourself, and then follow up by this question. How would it be if you would have told yourself, okay, it's okay. I messed up. I made a mistake. I did something wrong. But you know what? We learn through mistakes. No one ever learned to walk in one time. When we were really kids, small kids, we needed to learn to walk. We fell down a lot. Sometimes we had our tooth bleeding or a nose bleeding, or we fell to the front, we fell to the back. But the lovely thing of our parents was that they started to be critical about us. They didn't tell us, don't do it again, make sure you don't fall again. No, they understood that we needed to fall to learn to walk, because this is the way that we had to learn things. And they were actually pretty gentle about it. It's okay, next time. Okay, come on, I will help you up, and we'll try again and try again. Why? Because our parents had this deep knowing that at a certain moment we would be able to walk. So, and even if they were not encouraging us, they were for sure not criticizing us for falling down, because they just knew that we would get there. So even if they ignored that and just let us find it all on our own, which might also be a great strategy for kids to find their own way, let them make their own mistakes. There was this certainty that we would get there. So this is a really simple example, but it's so plausible. It's so understandable. No one would start to shout at a little kid who tries to walk when they're falling down, making mistakes. So why are we doing this when the stakes are higher? Why are we doing this when we're bigger, when we are adults? So the thing is, in a lot of human interactions, we believe that looking at the bad things gives us a sense of what we did wrong, so we can improve that. But it's the way we look at those not so good things that gives us that illusion that we will better ourselves. We can still look at things that are going wrong or that we messed up and still know that we are able to change that. But we don't need criticism, we don't need harshness, we don't need to be really tough on ourselves for that. So, coming back to the question that I just said, would it be really necessary for you to improve yourself by being harsh to yourself? What would happen that next time you mess up, that you start to immediately be gentle with yourself? You know me, self-gentleness. That's, radically accepting yourself as the most important person to consistently deserve your own gentleness. My definition of self-gentleness. And it's that consistent gentleness towards yourself that is so important. Understanding, almost like a parent who sees their kid fall when they try to learn to walk, that you understand that sometimes you have to make mistakes, sometimes you have to do things wrong, sometimes things just have to blow up in your face so that you can take that next step. But what if we would, cherish ourselves, support ourselves, soothe ourselves if we would feel pain or sadness or anger about that, and reassuring ourselves that we will get where we want to be. We as human beings are so capable of evolving, of expanding, of learning. Why would learning always be through the tough way? So there's a whole topic there that I will not go into exactly, but it is the way that generally we raise our kids, right? We tell them what we want them to do, and then when they behave right, we reward them by giving them compliments or giving them things or being kind to them. And when they do things that we don't like, we punish them or we tell them that things are not right. And whatever your view on education is, that doesn't matter so much, but it's something to question. We believe that we have to be tough to improve ourselves. It's just like this mantra that we think you have to work hard to be successful. Where there's a lot about to say about that, but I will do that in an upcoming live in a few weeks when I speak about self-gentleness and work. So there's also, of course, a different kind of self-criticism, which is not so much about messing up when you have a concrete evidence that something went wrong and you have to relate to that, because I can understand that most of you can agree with me that that would be something that you could improve on. But what about those thoughts that someone just shared with us about finding yourself not pretty enough, not smart enough, not kind enough, not funny enough? Um, all those judgments about ourselves, about how we want to be. And then we notice that we aren't that exactly, or maybe not all the time. And that we then punish ourselves for not being what we want to be. Well, the first question is, or the first matter is, that very often we are exactly that we want to be, but we just cannot see it. So I know when you look at a beautiful person and you tell them that they are beautiful, very often they look at you or they don't really believe you. A lot of beautiful people don't find themselves so beautiful. The same goes with smart people, although there are also smart people who believe that they are smart. But every person is unique and every person has their own thoughts about themselves. And we always have this ideal picture in our head of who we would like to be, with what kind of qualities, how we would interact, how we would others to perceive us. And through the times we start to judge ourselves because we do not live up to that ideal. So that's a tougher self-criticism to deal with, because it's not something that actually happens, that is visible, that we can respond immediately upon, but it's something that lies way deeper, that is ingrained in beliefs that we have about ourselves, that we picked up during our childhood, that we picked up during our adolescence, that we picked up from our family, our parents, our siblings, our friends, our teachers. Let's not forget our teachers. Our colleagues, our society, our culture. So yeah, that can be really tough. And I think the best way to start to deal with that is to first become aware when you are self-critical. So I just took myself as an example, that I've used to be the master of self-criticism once. And in the beginning, so speaking when I was a teenager and a young adult, I was really critical about myself, and I wasn't always aware that this was criticism, thoughts in my head that I made up that were related to my view on myself, my view on the world. I just saw these as facts. And I don't know where I picked them up exactly. Well, and we can dig into that. We can go into therapy to find out that, what can be really, really valuable to really start to take a look at where things are coming from. But in the end, here you are right now, and you're becoming aware of these thoughts. And it's the first step is to become aware that those thoughts are not truth. These thoughts are not facts. These thoughts are creations of your mind based on your experiences, based on things you have thought about yourself, things that you have experienced in interactions with others, where you start to think things that you thought that others thought these things about you, even though it might not have been true, but you just assume these, and these start to shape this nets of thoughts and beliefs that create this self-criticism. So becoming aware that self-criticism is nothing else than just thoughts in your head. And in meditation, you learn that you are not your thoughts. The most beautiful thing you learn when you meditate is that you become aware that thoughts are there, they're popping up and they're going away, that you can sit in between all those thoughts and they don't have to have any meaning. It's the meaning that we attach to those thoughts, the feelings that we connect with these thoughts, that start to give us unpleasant feelings and start to feel really bad about ourselves. So this would be the first process, to be aware of those. And when you are aware of those self-critical voices, those self-critical thoughts, then you can start to deal with those. And in my book, the best way is to soothe them, to counteract those thoughts with soothing thoughts, as if, you have this really critical person standing there, and then this lovely parent figure within you stands up and starts to soothe you. And the idea is that this voice of the soothing person within starts to grow. And this sound starts to become bigger and bigger and bigger. So, but this is not an easy process, because that first step from understanding that these self-critical thoughts are just thoughts and not facts, that's already a massive step. And then you might notice that they are there, but it's really hard to still cut loose from them, to let go of them. But that's also okay, because, you're already living a pretty long time in this life, and these thoughts have become habits. These thoughts have become default responses to things that you encounter, that you think about yourself.